Hello, book geekers. I have a special offer for you. That's right, available for a limited time, a free audio download. This exclusive conversation titled Following Your Passion with life-engineered author J.F. Dubois will give you inspiration and entertainment. Available for a limited time, JF tells us how he is making the transition from graphic designer to author. In a field where rejection is inevitable, JF shares his views on how he deals with it, what advice he would give anyone wishing to make a career change, and more. Janine Bay from Montreal, Quebec, Canada says, it is inspiring and entertaining, to the point and worth the listen. Go now, frédéricbaye.com, Following Your Passion with author J.F. Dubois, available for a limited time. Hello, book geekers. This is Frédéric B. I'm talking to you from right here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It is a rainy day today. Hey, thank you so much for clicking the download button. This week, this Wednesday, right now, today, here's the second part of my conversation with GABBY GRACE. She talks about how she overcame her shame about her voice, what role writing had on her self-discovery and confidence, including a certain book that really helped her. That's right. She will also talk about her journey from non-spiritual to Christian and the impact it had on her singing career and more. This is a can't miss episode. I'm sure you listened to the episode last week. Her passion is indescribable. Without further ado, let's go to the interview right now. Now you're out of high school.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward.
Let's fast forward a lot.
So you had all these experiences in high school. You still want to know that you want to sing.
Yeah.
Then what? Now do you go to college? Now I know you went to Saint Laurent Cégep.
No, Vincent d'Indy.
Vincent. Okay, so you went to that Cégep. Then what? Did you graduate? And what happened to your singing career?
Okay, so I went in Vincent d'Indy. And since I didn't have any music training, I learned everything. I learned everything at once. So it was a lot of work. It was really hard, but it was really worth it. And I fell in love with classical music. And the funny part is, even if I sang my whole life, even if I loved singing, I judged myself for a long time. And even when I was being intimidated by people saying that I didn't know how to sing, like somehow, there's a part of me that believed it because I did feel like I was not up to it. Like I felt that I was not good enough. And sincere, like I'm really sincere about this. I wasn't good enough. Like for real. I've never, like I'm not extraordinary. Like maybe today I'm getting better and better and better because I just keep on doing it. But I was not that good. And when I got accepted at Vincent d'Indy, I didn't have any technique neither. Especially not for classical. So I didn't have any vibrato in my voice. I was not able to sustain my voice, to support it. I had issues with high notes. I had issues with everything in singing. And we had, lab classes that we called that. In those classes were a couple singers together. And everybody sings their songs one after the other, and the other people make comments. And it was the class that made me so anxious. Like, and after every one of those classes, I would like go alone in a room and cry because I always felt like I sucked at what I was doing. I always felt like I was the worst, that I was like the least of the singers, that I couldn't sing, and I was really ashamed of my singing. So sometimes I would, like for example, we had practice rooms, and sometimes I would practice and I was so discouraged to hear myself that I would just stop singing. Like it was that bad.
How did you overcome it?
it's really like, for real, God had to be there, because I just wouldn't quit. It's like inside of me, there was God saying, like, even if now I'm not the best, that's where I'm heading to. It doesn't matter. Like, even if today I don't see the result, I don't hear it, that's where I'm heading. And because I won't quit, one day I'm going to, like, actually, I can say I've been in college for 2 years. And, so like in my first year, I was still an atheist. I had my encounter with God in my last year of, at Vincent d'Indy. So when I was 18 years old, that's when I became a Christian.
Okay. Well, right before we get into that subject, I think it's important what you just said, because I think that relates to a lot of people around the world. You said, how did I overcome it? I just wouldn't quit.
Yeah.
No, that's important, because
sometimes when it's so like not easy. It's so like straightforward, but that's just for real. That's what it is. You just don't quit.
Yeah, and there is no logical way to move on. Sometimes you just have to crawl through the shit.
Oh yeah, sometimes, and you know, because I think another thing maybe that helped me is in my subconscious, I knew this quote. I'm sure maybe you know it too. You've heard it. There's a quote, I don't remember who it is, but who said that genius is 10% talent and 90% work.
Yeah.
So subconsciously, it's like, even if it wasn't coming naturally for me at this point, I was going to work then, you know?
Oh my God. That's another important thing. That's so true.
Yeah. Work, man. Work. It's hard, but you gotta do it. And
but I just want to say something, because that's another important thing you just said, is that, you know, this is what I've learned. Sometimes the most talented people are not the ones who succeed, because when you're so talented, you sit on your laurels.
That's actually another thing I wanted to say, is that I had this conviction. You know, in the Bible, it says that God gives gifts to us. Mm-hmm. And one of the gifts I know I have is my whole life, I've been strong on my convictions. Like, when I'm convicted of something, I'm convinced for life. I'm like, yeah. So one of my convictions was exactly what you were saying, is that the people who succeed are not the ones that have the most talent, because there's more than talent. There's actually personality, who you are, what you have to bring, what message you bring to other people. But it's more than that. It's not about necessarily talent, but it's about those who want it the most.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Succeed are the one, like I was saying earlier, that just won't quit. There's just no other option. Like, for me, it's not like I'm singing, or maybe I can do this, no, it's like I'm going to sing and I'm going for it. So if there's a goal that I have and there's no other way for me than doing it, like, there's no other choice than it's going to happen one day or the other, because it's the only thing I'm heading towards.
You're very wise, and you're 22 years old. Where did you learn that stuff?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, it's funny because some people tell me that all the time, and it makes me laugh, because you know, when I was not Christian, I was always taking the credit for being so wise. I was always thinking, I was just born wise, because even when I was like 10 years old, honestly, I cannot tell you that I got that from somewhere, because I mean, it's not like I've been surrounded by wise people for real. There was nothing different about my upbringing that would have made me more wise than another person my age. But I think it's really God that put this wisdom in me. When I was not even like 10 years old, I was already asking myself all the existential questions everyone asks themselves. But, you know, everyone asks themselves existential questions. That's just part of who we are as human beings. But a lot more, like, most people will just grow up and forget those things, or like it won't bother them that much. But to me, it tormented me. Like I was tormented about those questions. For me, life was hard and it was dark and I wanted to know everything, and I just couldn't get a clue about why I knew I wanted to sing. I knew all those things, but there was something so empty inside of me. But so when you talk about wisdom, maybe I think part of it is, since I always wrote ever since I was 10, I guess I always trained myself to think naturally. I always trained myself to work through hard questions. And sometimes I would be amazed because I would be alone, in the car while everyone is just like looking outside, and I'm just thinking about an existential question or something. And I'm just working out to find the answer. And sometimes I would actually find the answer and be like, oh, wow, I found this by myself. But today I realize it's really God that put this wisdom in me. And actually, I think through this whole time, he secured that in me so that I would ultimately look towards him.
Don't you find that writing is one of the best? I mean, for me, that's what it is. I think I relate to you in a lot of ways, is that it allowed me to kind of become aware of my thoughts. And
sometimes you don't even know what's inside of you and you write it down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if I can get into this right now, but I'm going to go for it.
Go ahead.
When I said that I became a Christian in high school, what actually happened to me, it's not the full story, but it's the part of the story that makes sense with what we're talking about. The first time I went to a church, I was invited, and I was going there not to be convinced, because when I say I was an atheist, I was not only an atheist. Like I hated anything that had to do with religion. I hated churches. I despised God.
Why?
I don't know. I thought it was the curse of this world. And part of it is true. I mean, religion is not good because it's not who God is in a lot of ways, but that's another topic for another.
Okay. So you hated religion. I mean, you hated, you didn't understand God and then what was the breakthrough?
So the first time I went to church, the church I went to was a prophetic church, and I went there because I was just curious, because my friend said, oh yeah, it's a different church. You're going to see people dance and sing. And since I dance and sing, I was like, well, why not? It's going to be fun, but there was nothing profound about going to church for me this day. It was just to see what it was like to see people dance and sing in a church for real. And that wasn't like, that's where it ended. But it was a prophetic church, like I said. And when you're new in that church, of course, people are going to have words for you. So I was called to go in front because a woman received something from God for me. And she told me that I was a really creative person, that God gave me a gift for singing, that the woman was saying that she was seeing me writing songs, and saying also that God was going to meet me through my creativity.
That's awesome. Oh my God, this is important. God will meet me in my creativity.
Yeah, and that's a prophetic word that I received. And when I received that, it's like it didn't touch my heart at all. I was like, oh well, it must be written in my face that I'm a singer, and it must be, I don't know, she's just lucky. She just like got this out. And to me, it wasn't profound in any way. But what happened next is, at this time in my life, when I was 18, it had been a couple of months, maybe even years, that I didn't write, like that I didn't commit to writing songs. And a couple weeks following this prophetic word, I just decided out of the blue, well, I should write again. So I started writing again, and something really weird happened. I started writing, and when you talk about wisdom, it's like wisdom that was not my own was just flowing out of me. Like I was writing stuff I didn't even knew what I was saying. Like I was like intense wisdom. It's one thing that I always I always pursued in my life, wisdom. And so I was so amazed that I was writing such wise things. And I was kind of, I was in awe because I kind of knew it was not coming from me, but I didn't know where it was coming from. And but still I was an atheist. And so when I wrote, I would not necessarily write songs. Sometimes I would talk about God and why he didn't exist. I would say that I hated God. I would say that I was God. I was writing all kinds of really horrible stuff. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I started to do, because I was really confused. Like one day I would be kind of becoming a Christian, and then the other day I was really atheist. I was in a confusion. And one day, like what happened to me is I was writing wise stuff, and I started to write questions to God, even thinking he didn't exist. I mean, I didn't believe in God, but I was asking God questions when I was writing. So I was writing questions for God. And while I was asking him the question, he gave me the answer in my mind. And this happened to me a lot. And when this happened, I remembered the lady saying, God is going to meet you through your creativity. And at this point, that's been the turning point. That's when I really started to discover who God really was. Wow. And sometime after, I just cried in my bed, and I was.
Hey, you know what? The same thing happened to me.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. When there was a point in my life, I was confused, like you said, and I wrote questions, and I don't know whether answers are coming, but the answers are there. They just flow through you. But
it's not from you.
I know.
It's God.
It's
really God. And you cannot, it's like I said, when I was younger, I would take the credit for this wisdom, but this particular situation, and the same probably is for you, is you cannot take the credit. You know that this is not from you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't know where they're from. I mean, they're from God. Obviously they're from, but in the moment you're like, the questions are just there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
And I think I said another thing important is that you always chased wisdom. You always wanted more wisdom, and it reminded me of an article I wrote about Michael Jackson, when he was 15 or 17 years old. And he said, what would you like most for Christmas or something like that? What would you, and he just said words of wisdom.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He didn't say, hey, I want a new car. I want to be more famous. I want words of wisdom.
You know what's funny? Maybe that won't be part of the final take, but I just want to tell you because I think it's going to be good for you.
Go ahead.
In the Bible, actually this happened to Solomon. The King Solomon was really loved by God. And one day God asked him, what do you want me to give you? And Solomon replied, I want you to give me the wisdom to lead your people. And God replied, since you didn't ask me for riches or for wealth or for anything of this world, but you asked me for wisdom, I'm going to not only to give you wisdom, but all those things.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know about that quote.
Yeah. Wow. But it's not a quote. It's in the Bible, and it's the truth, and it happened. And there's another verse in the Bible that says, seek the kingdom of God first, and all those things will be added on to you. And that's true. Like when your eyes are seeking him, when you are seeking him with your own heart and your whole heart, and you're not looking for personal gain or for things that are
material.
Materialist. Yeah. Material. God it just, what's funny? God actually spoils us. He actually spoils us. Sometimes I talk about this with my Christian friends, and sometimes not only does God answer important prayers, like big issues of life, but sometimes he just spoils you with stuff you don't even really need, but just because he loves you, he's gonna give it to you, And he's amazing.
So I really love your enthusiasm. That's really awesome. Okay. So now you're okay. So you started to, now basically, you started to sing. You came out of school, came out of CEGEP, and okay, you're 22 years old.
So in the so earlier I was talking about how, when I started out in college, I felt like I was the least.
Yeah.
But it's funny because at the end of those 2 years, I could actually see that the fact that I wouldn't quit, that I just pursued my singing, vocation, I realized, and this is not prideful, this is really like an objective view. It's like I started below everyone else, but at the end of the 2 years, I was at least at the same level than everyone else. So
I believe you.
yeah, so just the fact that I wouldn't quit, like I had a quantum leap happening.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And then after I went to Concordia University to keep studying in classical music. And what I liked about Concordia is, in most music programs, you have to either choose to do classical music or pop music. But I'm the kind of person, I'm really all around the place. So I don't want to be stuck in one particular thing. I want to do lots of different things. So that's what I loved about Concordia, is they allow you to do not only singing, but also like you can be in classical voice and still take jazz lessons, and you can do dance, you can do theater. And like, I'm an artist, so like I love all types of arts, even if my main passion is singing, I love everything else. So I wanted to open my mind to other stuff, and like even composition. So I really wanted to push myself. And that's what I loved about Concordia. It really pushed me towards my comfort, like beyond my comfort zone. And, So
okay, but you went to Concordia University.
Yeah, for 3 years. And what really pushed me there is I did for example, I planned my own concerts in a church. I really, took steps beyond my comfort zone to actually, I would say steps of faith, and to already, work as if I was a singer, as if, what would I be doing if I was done with school? What would I do? So I was for example, I took songwriting courses, and it pushed me to write songs, because even if I always wrote songs in my life, one of my weaknesses is I'm lacking discipline. I really know I need to be disciplined and to have a practice of, I don't know, even if it's 30 minutes a day, but to really commit to do it every day. So sometimes when I'm lazy about something, I will actually do something that I don't have any other choice than do it. So I just took those classes, and in those classes, I just, in the songwriting classes, I put God to the test for this class, because since I didn't have, a discipline, and I wasn't used to writing songs all the time, I was really stressed out about doing a song. Mm-hmm. And, so for my first songwriting class, which was in 2013, I sat down after school in my bedroom, and I just started praying, and I said, God, I'm asking you to inspire me right now. And so I started my recorder on my iPhone, and I just said, I ask you, Holy Spirit, to inspire me and write a song. And so I just said that, and literally the song just came out. And I don't say that this has to be the method for all the time, because God doesn't want you to, yes, he wants to give us inspiration, but we have to work too. It's not always going to be like that, but that particular time, he really gave me all the inspiration. I didn't even have to force myself to create something. It just came out of me, and it was a song for him. So yeah. And actually I could sing one of those songs for you if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my dream never changed. The only thing that really changed is my whole life when I was younger. It was always for my personal gain. I wanted to become the greatest singer of the world, to be known, to be famous, to be desired. And I was like looking, at people like Lady Gaga, let's say, and all those people. And I was thinking that's the goal, like to get everyone's attention, to provoke. So it was kind of a bit twisted, I would say. But I thought it was right, and, so that's what my goal was. But from the moment I discovered God, so that's why it's so important to me to talk about God in all this, this interview, is that from the moment I knew God, it didn't, like, all of a sudden it was not about me anymore, but it was about Him. So He's the one who gave me a gift for singing. He's the one who gave me this dream ever since I was young. And for me today, being a singer is not about my own gain. It's not about my own popularity, but I want to be the greatest, not for me to be the greatest, but because I want the whole world to know Jesus is real. And I want my music to reflect that. And I feel music today it's so twisted, like the kind of music that goes on the radio today. People are so lost because everything they feed themselves with, may it be music or whatever they see or hear, it's so much trash that, I mean, we become what we let come inside of us, and I want to, like, that through my music, people will be reconciled back to God, because there's nothing more filling, more beautiful in this world than being in a relationship with our Creator God. And my goal is to make music, not necessarily Christian music, but my goal is to make music that is commercial, that is pop, yet with some classical inspirations and all types of different music styles, because I like variety, and I think God is really creative and He can help me, like, do something that's catchy but still really out of the box. But I want to talk about God without necessarily being too obvious, because I want people, believers and non-believers, to be drawn to this music and to find Him through that.
Let me ask you one last question.
Yes.
Before you sing your song.
Yeah.
With your life, so you have you have accumulated a lot of wisdom.
Thank you.
If you could speak to a younger self, or to speak to a younger girl who has the same dreams and aspirations as you, what would be the number one lesson that you would tell her? What is the number one lesson you have learned so far in life?
Okay. I would say, if God gave you this dream to sing, you have to know that this gift is not for yourself. It's for the world, and it's for Him. And that to use this gift wisely is important, because, a lot of people and artists, when they are being interviewed, are always asked this question: who are your idols? And there's nothing bad with having inspiration, but I think an issue with that is, when we're young, we look up to other people, we look up to other celebrities, and we want to be like them. But I don't know, maybe there are some listeners right now that they're striving to be musicians, to be known. So what I would say is, you don't have to be the next someone. You can be completely you. God has gifted you in a unique way, and He wants to use you. He doesn't want you to be the copy of something else or someone else. And He doesn't, it's really important to remember, when I say this gift is for God, this world is going to try to mold you into something you're not. It's going to try to make you sing or do things that you don't necessarily want to do. But I would say, never lower your standards, never change who you are and what God has given you in order to please or to be known. Because ultimately, if God wants you to be known, you will be known. And if you follow Him, what you're going to, the success you're going to get, it's gonna be, it won't be temporary success. It will be lasting. If you base your success on this world and on what this world is telling you, you will fall. So that's what I would say. I would say to always protect this gift and always be purely authentic with who you are and what God gifted you with.
On that note,
Yay.
that is perfect.
Thank you.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yay.
Oh yeah. That was great. Man, I man, if you knew the number of times I nodded and I smiled and I was like,
I'm so happy.
So, yeah. So, hey, you know what? So we're going to listen to your song.
Oh yeah.
Right before ending this conversation, we're going to listen to this song. And, I want to thank you again, Gabrielle.
Yay.
Good luck with your future.
Thank you so much.
You're awesome. All right, go ahead.
So my song is called Sold Out. I wrote it in 2015. And here it is, a cappella. There's nothing I could do for you to love me more. Nothing I could do for you to love me less. No matter what the cost, it's all done at the cross. No matter what I do, there's no escaping you. And I'm sold out. Was lost, but now I am found. You gave it all for me, I'll give it all for you. And I'm sold out in your infinite embrace. I'm hidden in your grace. I used to be torn apart and rejected all of you. But deep into my heart, I was longing for you. As I spit it in your face, you kept pursuing me. This day it all made sense. When by love I was set free. And I'm sold out. Was lost, but now I am found. You gave it all for me, I'll give it all for you. And I'm sold out in your infinite embrace. I'm hidden in your grace. Oh, you gave all for me. The touch of your love set me free. Oh, you gave all for me. My whole life is redeemed. Oh, you gave all for me. The touch of your life is complete. Oh, you gave it all for me. My whole life is redeemed. And I'm sold out. Wasn't lost, but now I am found. You gave it all for me, I'll give it all for you. And I'm sold out in your infinite embrace. At last I found my place.
That's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found it helpful. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can visit fredericbai.com/podcast. If you'd like to connect, you can also tweet me at byfred, or you can find me on Facebook at Frederic Bai Writer. And remember, live with purpose, passion, and love. See you next week.